Lashana Tova, my friends. It is the head of the year, Rosh Hashanah. It is Yom Teruah, the day of trumpets. It is the Feast of Trumpets. This is the time of year when the Jews celebrate their New Year. This is the beginning of their civil calendar. It's Tishrei. And Tishrei 1 and 2 feature a two-day holiday called Rosh Hashanah, also called the Feast of Trumpets. It means quite a bit, though, to watchers of Bible prophecy who understand the patterns of history, the appointed times of Leviticus 23, and how our Messiah fulfilled the spring feasts when he was here. However, the fall feasts are yet unfulfilled, and in like manner, just as the spring feasts here of these four flames were fulfilled in order, the fall feasts, then, if Yahweh is the same yesterday, today, and always, he will fulfill his pattern in order. Interestingly enough, the Feast of Trumpets alludes very, very much to the rapture of the church, when the groom calls with a trumpet, calls his bride up. I will explain this chart more at another time. I just made it, very excited about it, and you can have it on my Zazzle, which I will link at the end of this video. It's a great tool if you'd like to print one out and put it on your wall, start up some conversations, bring it to a Bible study, and explain how this all works, because most people don't understand this. Let's move on. We're going to celebrate this time with some readings from Scripture. I'm going to go over some passages about the Feast of Trumpets, Yom Teruah. Yahweh in Leviticus 23:23 writes, "And Yahweh spoke to Moshe," that's Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Yisrael, saying, in the 7th month, on the first day of the month you shall have a rest, a remembrance of the blowing of trumpets, a Kodesh gathering." This is also reiterated in Numbers 29:1. It says, "And in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you have a Kodesh gathering. You do no servile work. It is a day of blowing the trumpets for you." Psalms 81:3. "Blow the ram's horn at the time of the new moon, at the covering on our festival day." Do you see a theme here? Gathering, covering. Maybe I should remind you what is said in Isaiah about the pre-tribulation rapture and the tribulation period. "Let your dead live, and my dead body let them arise. Awake and sing, you who dwell in the dust, for your dew is the dew of light. And let the earth give birth to the departed spirits. Go, my people, enter your rooms, and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourself, as it were, for a little while, until the displeasure is past." That's the tribulation, explained next. "For look, Yahweh is coming out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their wickedness, and the earth shall disclose her blood and no longer cover her slain." That's at a time that the earth will not be covering up dead bodies. No one will be buried anymore. We read that in Revelation. That's the end, folks. This right here is pre-tribulation rapture stuff. But do you see a pattern? At the time of the rapture, at the time of trumpets blowing, at the time of Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets, the 7th month, the first day, we see a time of covering. Well, first it's a time of gathering, and then a time of covering on their festival day, and a time of hiding in rooms after being called to go there. Now, it's interesting that Isaiah talks about the dead arising out of the dust, but he doesn't talk about any living rising, and that's because that none of the prophets were told about the church. They could not foresee the church, and they weren't told to write about the church, because if the church was known in the first covenant times, the Old Testament, well, then the enemy would probably know about the church, and he would probably know, maybe gather how that would happen, and that, of course, couldn't be revealed at the time. But the resurrection certainly was given to him. Then what happens is Paul reveals In 1 Corinthians 15:52, he reveals the secret, the mystery of the resurrection, but also of the living with them. I'll read that now. It says, "See, I speak a secret to you. We shall not all sleep," going back to Isaiah, "but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet." Bringing this back around to the Feast of Trumpets. "For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible." It's just what Isaiah talked about. "And we shall be changed. For this corruptible has to put on incorruption, and this mortal to put on immortality." He also writes in 1 Thessalonians, he writes to the church at Thessalonica. He says, "Because the Master himself shall come down from the Shamayim, that's the heavens, with a shout, and with the voice of a chief messenger, and with the trumpet of Elohim," there's that trumpet again, "and the dead in Mashiach shall rise first. Then we, the living, who are left over, shall be caught away together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air, and so we shall always be with the Master. So then, encourage one another with these words." And then chapter 5, in chronological order, he starts talking then about the tribulation period. Random cell phone edit. I didn't want to leave this out. In chapter 4 of Revelation, John writes, just after chapters 2 and 3, which show the church age, he says, after this, after what? The church age, after he wrote 7 letters to 7 churches, "After this I looked, and I saw a door having been opened in the Shamayim." Remember what Isaiah said? "Go into the doors and shut them. Behind you, hide yourself." He says, "After this I looked and saw a door having been opened in the Shamayim, and the first voice which I heard was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, 'Come up here, and I shall show you what is to take place after this.'" So John also is called up by a trumpet. So, blow up the trumpet in the new moon at our Kodesh gathering on our solemn feast day. Well, this is the only feast day that happens at the new moon. This is showing the time that I'm recording this, 5:30 a.m. in the morning. On the 24th, the new moon is where we're at right now. At least that's what this says. And so some people ask me, "Scottie, when does Feast of Trumpets start? When's Rosh Hashanah start?" Because the last trump, which is the Tekiah Hagadolah, it's the 100th shofar blast that they blow. It is known as the last trump. Happens towards the end of the 2 days. And if things are to line up like they did in the spring, when everything was fulfilled to the very moment, well then somehow, at the last trump time, the rapture will occur on the Feast of Trumpets. So when does it start? How do we count this 2 days? I'll give you a couple of examples. But first I want to tell you that this is not actually the new moon. This is actually what's called conjunction. When the moon passes the sun, therefore you can't see it because the sun's on the other side of it. This is also the time of a solar eclipse. Sometimes the moon goes above from our viewpoint, sometimes the moon goes above the sun, sometimes it goes below, sometimes it kind of scrapes across part of the sun, which is a partial solar eclipse. Sometimes it goes right through the center of the sun, blocking the entire sun. That's a full solar eclipse. But this is the time that it's actually in conjunction, which means there's an alignment between the sun, the moon, and the earth. However, in Jewish custom, the new moon was actually at the time that 2 witnesses would first see it again after conjunction. Usually that happens 2 days after conjunction, because usually the next day at sunset, when the sun is going down, the moon, if this is the sun, the moon is following it. And just after the sun goes over the horizon, at that point, you can see just a little sliver of the moon here, of the side that the that is facing towards the sun. But usually it's 2 days. Last year I saw it not on the first day, but on the second day. And it's at that point that the two witnesses would announce that Rosh Hashanah is beginning. That's when it begins. It's not 2 days from this time. It's not 2 days from it's not 2 days from conjunction that the last trump would blow, the end of the 2 days. It's actually about 4 days after that, because you don't even see it. It's not the technical new moon until it's really new. It's not new right now. It's hiding. It's new when it's seen for the first time after it's hiding. So let's quickly take a look at the calendar, 2014. Let's take a look at a couple of different calendars that disagree with one another. And I have a point about that. Here's the deal. Chabad.org is an Orthodox Jewish calendar. These are non-messianics. They do not believe that the Messiah that we believe in is their Messiah. And they are blinded in part, as the scriptures say, and I believe their calendar's off. Number one, they believe that we're in the year 5775. Put that in your hip pocket, and I'm going to explain some of that in a minute. But if we look at September 2014, we can go down to Rosh Hashanah. They believe that it is the 29th of Elul going into the 1st of Tishrei, because it is the eve of Rosh Hashanah as I'm recording this right now, and then at sunset, Jerusalem time, it begins Rosh Hashanah. So they're not going by the Orthodox way of the actual, I should say, the customary biblical times way of finding out when Rosh Hashanah begins. It's also called the day that no one knows. No one knows the day or the hour that this begins, because you can't just slap it on a calendar, because it has to do with two witnesses witnessing the new moon. And that can't happen until it happens. So you can't actually put it on the calendar. But they're putting it on a calendar. Why? Because it makes it easy. Okay. So, again, they're not following the drill. Let's go over to TorahCalendar.com. TorahCalendar.com is a messianic calendar that I've used in many videos in the past, over the years. And I believe that they're more on track with the truth. Back here, we see that Chabad.org, the Orthodox Jews, believe we're in going into the year 5775. TorahCalendar.com believes that we are now going into the year 6000. Their spiritual year 6000, actually began at Passover, just before Passover in 2014. But with their two different calendars, the civil calendar and the spiritual calendar, we are now going into a 6-month period where both calendars are in 6,000. And if you understand that we are in a 7,000-year plan of Yahweh, from creation, there are 6,000 years. A day with Yahweh is as 1,000 years. Well, in creation, He created us, and He worked for 6 days, and then the 7th day He rested. It was also given in the 10 Commandments to Moses. It says that you will work for 6 days, just as I have, and you will rest on the 7th day. And that's a big theme, which I'll just keep it simple at this point. But in the big scale of things, there are 6 days of work, of toil, of labor, and then we rest during the millennial period, which is the 7,000 year. It is the millennial Sabbath. What's interesting about TorahCalendar.com, I don't believe they're big prophecy buffs or watches or anything like that. They don't do that on the site. It's their calendar. And they believe that we are right here going into a Jubilee year 120. Right here, the year 6000 is right here at the end here, and that would make it right here. And they believe that, as I do, that the millennial reign, the millennial period, is getting very close. So back to Rosh Hashanah. You want to know when Rosh Hashanah is? Well, this calendar says that the first visible crescent moon should be seen on September 25th. So this is September 25th right here, or I should say September 25th is right here, and this is going into September 26th. So I don't know. This is where the new moon is, right here, where we're at right now. It's possible that it could be seen here. And then going into that, as soon as the sun sets and the moon sets, then Rosh Hashanah starts for 2 days. However, if it's not seen here, and I didn't see it the first day after, it's just too hard to see because it's still too close to the sun, and not enough of the moon is reflecting enough light to get here for the naked eye. So I'm actually planning on Friday to go out and try to take pictures of it. And that would make it, if it's not seen on Thursday and it is seen on Friday, then it begins on Saturday. And then you've got the weekend, Saturday and Sunday would be... See, here's the thing. Nobody knows. No one knows the day or the hour. Have you seen that video that I made? That is a name for the Feast of Trumpets. So when people say no one knows the day or the hour, blah, 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 they don't even realize that what they're saying is that Mashiach actually said, I'm coming on the Feast of Trumpets. That's what he said, because you have to read into the idiom. But no one knows the day or the hour because you don't know when it actually begins, because you can't just slap this on a calendar. It has to do with when the new moon is actually spotted after conjunction. So here we are back on ERFministries.com, my website, and we will see that you'll see that there's a little bit of white around here because this is right now when I'm recording this. This is conjunction. 2 days after, it's a little bit bigger over here. Now, of course, these are just graphics from their website, but this is most likely. And there are different calendars which have these two actually blacked out. I have some apps on my phone that these two over here are blacked out as well. And then these two, this would be the second one. So it's not even seen until here. So that's what I'm trying to get this point across, is that just be patient. You can't own this. There's no way. I've been through this for numerous years. Every year, how many videos have I made about these things? And every year I make a video. Last year I was telling you, just be cautious. If you listen to anybody who says that they know that it's going to happen this year, so many signs are lining up and all this kind of stuff. But nobody knows. Yes, signs are lining up. And if it doesn't happen this year, I will be making more videos because I've got a lot to say about the signs that are lining up. But if we're out of here, great. I don't have to make any more videos. But if we're not out of here this year, then we need to be patient and keep doing the Father's work for the next year. And then it's even more likely, it's that much more likely that 2015, our escape, so to speak, or our translation will occur. No more sin, no more pain, no more sorrow. Isn't that going to be great? I'm working hard here trying to help people find the truth. And I hope that you are as well. There are crowns waiting for us. And there are numerous crowns for different things. And one of them is simply doing the Father's work and running this race and spreading the gospel and encouraging the church to watch and wait and be patient. And so that's what I'm doing right now. If you're listening to anybody on YouTube that says they know the truth, that the rapture is definitely going to happen this year, or if you see someone's timeline and they're not careful or cautious enough to say, hey, it's just a timeline, could happen, might not, I'm just thinking, throwing it on a graphic chart, then, be cautious about these people. And if you are one that's making charts and having fun, I love doing it too. First time I did it was in 2011, and man, I'm telling you, I got so many messages it's just exploded. So many people are doing this now, and people are doing it before me as well, but I get a lot of messages that my charts have really given people an interest in really thinking about the timeline. But nobody knows when things are actually going to happen. All we can do is see how things line up. That's as close as we can get, is to see how things are lining up. And things are, I believe, very close. But really, be patient and be cautious if anybody tells you that they know that the rapture is going to happen in 2014, because that's not true. It's just simply not true. So I want to caution you about that. So Lashana Tova, my friends. Happy New Year and happy Rosh Hashanah. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please take a moment to share this with your networks through email, through YouTube, through Facebook, and give it a thumbs up wherever you see it. I appreciate it. People need to know this information. There is more on my website. If you haven't been to my website, ERF Ministries, in a while, please take a look around. There's years of work and research in there, and I think a lot of good information that I know has blessed a lot of people. If you need prayer, there is a place that you can get prayer. There's a prayer ministry attached to my website. And if maybe you're not a prayer warrior, or you struggle with prayer yourself, and you need some intercession, if you want to have the confidence that someone else is praying for your needs, whether it be for your friends or your family or yourself, please use that resource. There's a prayer page on erfministries.com. Also, if you are not in Mashiach, and what I mean by that is if you are not saved from your sin, now's the time to do that. Today is the day of salvation, and I go through why that's important and what you need to do to have eternal security by placing your faith in our Savior. And that's also you can get there from the front page of erfministries.com. And I'll have the links in the About section on YouTube here below. And that's all I got to say for now. You can also go to facebook.com/ERF Ministries too, and you can follow what I'm doing there. If maybe you're a YouTuber and you're wondering, where is Scottie? Well, I am active on Facebook lately, but I haven't been making so many videos because I'm very busy making graphics and building this website. I do everything myself pretty much. It's like 90% me now, and my webmaster, Alan Horvath, he's very busy himself, and so I've really taken on the whole thing, from writing code to doing all the graphics, and so that's where I've been. So if you're wondering, Scottie's not making so many videos anymore, it's because I've expanded my ministry into the website and also doing stuff on Facebook, and so follow me on Facebook, and all links will be below. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year again. Shalom.